welcome back to another video feature of the Immersive World's Handbook. Today I am back in Singapore, and just behind me is the Malaysian, if you can see it, Malaysian food street. I want to take you inside this space, and I discovered yesterday when I was scoping out and checking out Sentosa here in Singapore. And this is just at the entrance to Universal Studios Singapore. And what I find interesting about this space, and certainly curious, is the theming inside. It's made out to be similar to a 1950s Malaysian street market. As I take you inside, I think you'll see that it is reminiscent of other spaces that attempt to recreate a historic city scene, and for me one of the most significant would be the Greenwich Village area at New York, New York. So let's go ahead and take a look inside the Malaysian food street to check out some of its theming. Okay, so they're actually not open yet, but I will be taking you inside in just a bit. And as you can see here, I think this is quite significant. I'm certainly not an expert on Singapore or Malaysia, but one of the things that you do see in this part of Asia is the fact that these hawker markets are very famous. And these are basically places where you can go and enjoy street food in a comfortable, cheap, clean atmosphere. And what they're trying to do here essentially is to recreate this. And I was doing some rating on the Malaysian food street last night, and in fact they were saying that they brought in many famous local chefs because they didn't want the experience to be just simulated consumerist kind of street food. When I do take you inside, you will see though that there's a lot that they've done in terms of the theming and using space and using material culture in a way that's, I guess, evocative of the 1950s Malaysian street times. So when they open, I will take you inside. So let's get ready to take a look inside. Okay, and so one of the things you can see here at Malaysian Food Street is that they have a directory of the foods, and certainly a lot of the hawker centers that are around Singapore have this. And you might also notice, if I can get it in the picture here, down there, there's a directory. So you know, this in a sense is preserving the kind of atmosphere you would expect in a theme park in terms of giving the guests a map of the actual space. Again, once they open up, I will take you inside to give you a look. It looks like they open at 11 o'clock today, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so now we're going to take a look inside. So as I described, you can see it has the effect of a 1950s Malay street, both sides. And the bicycles here too? Yeah. The post office box here as well, and another bicycle, you can see. Yep. signage as well. Yeah, lots of street signs. Food carts in addition to the storefronts. And place signage, of course. So you probably noted that during my trip through the Malaysian food street, I kept the narration to a minimum, but I hope you had an opportunity to see some of the theming that is developed throughout this, what I think is a very innovative space within Universal Studios Singapore. And you could see from the signage there and also this signage that they've thought a lot about the design elements that go into this particular space. As I mentioned in one of the earlier points, it does have that feel of a miniature theme park in terms of how it's mapped out and the different zones that connect to the types of cuisine that you would find here. And I have to say that as I walk throughout the space, I was reminded of some of the interior theming of the New York, and Las Vegas in terms of, as you could see here, how they created some of the building facades and also the fact that they used so much of the signage, the lighting, the billboards, and forms of material culture as well. So here is my concluding thought in the space. So yeah, just to recollect, I guess, on the Malaysian food street, I would say that it does have, to me, and again, you know, some of these impressions are subjective, but it does have, for me on first impression, that feel of the New York, specifically Greenwich Village, a number of the eateries and bars that are themed there. This is actually probably themed in a few more innovative ways, I think, with the signage, you know, different purposes. I think the other thing you feel here, like some of the Pakra markets that I've visited here in Singapore, is it does have that hustle and bustle feel. It doesn't feel overly commercial. It feels somehow indigenous and local, and again, I think that's one of the tricks that you see with theming, is that you can create some place, culture, even psychological associations with people that maybe are unexpected because you're thinking the whole time that what you're doing is simulating. And of course you are simulating other places, people, cultures, material culture, but at the same time I think you are using the vivid forms of recollection that make it possible to do theming in the first place. So please come back for additional video features here in Singapore and other spaces from around the world for the Immersive Worlds Handbook.